Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion Plays Oxygen Not Included. The first video, absent the backlog, so I have read your comments, many of which have been very helpful, some of which say, read the comments. I read a lot of comments that say, please read the comments. I understand what you're doing there, you're telling me to read the comments as encouragement, but it also does fill the comments with comments that say read the comments, and you might be saying, NL, why are you blaming me? I'm not blaming you, I'm just saying when I try to read the comments, all the comments say read the comments, I end up spending a lot of time reading comments that say read the comments. You understand how this is a confusion for me personally. Regardless, we're coming to a compromise, and we're getting some good feedback. One thing I've heard many complaints of, as we just load this up here, is deconstruct this wheel and deconstruct the battery. We disabled the wheel, but we didn't do anything to the battery, which I've been told is causing our power-related problems, because this battery is always at or near zero, which means this thing is always firing. They're always putting coal into these. I don't know if it's affecting the power supply and network, or what have you. Another complaint, and something I'm going to do about this right away, we don't need so many priority 9s. That's fair enough. If everything's a priority 9, nothing's a priority 9. I will say in my own defense, I think I've been mischaracterized as being like everything is a 9 in terms of priority. That's not how I was thinking of it in my head. I had 2 tiers. Normal priority tasks, high priority tasks. Anything I wanted done immediately was a 9. Anything I wanted done at the colonists or duplicants' leisure was a priority 5. But you're right. We should have 7s. We should have 6s. We should have 8s. I do take a little bit of issue. People were saying, well, if you're asking for a priority 10, then you should be using all your other priorities. You're right, but I was mostly just making a joke, but I digress. Okay, another and a valid priority 9 request. Slime, and I did not know this, exposed slime leads to polluted oxygen. So we're going to tile that up. I don't know if tiling it up is the solution, but admittedly, I was just ignorant of that. I didn't realize that exposed slime leads to polluted air. The way that we see that is by looking at our germ overlay. Which actually, when I look at it, it's not that bad. I mean, our bathrooms are a little germy. Everything else is pretty sterile, except for, obviously, the slime veins. So there you go. We've hopefully issued all of those at a priority 9. These are genuinely priority 9s. I'd like to stop as much polluted oxygen as possible from getting into our system if we can do that. So, hopefully this is a deconstruction of the battery, or at least I was going to say at least a repair of that, but that's not really what I'm looking for. I'm actually looking for an immediate deconstruction if possible, because this is just constantly being repaired. We do still have problems with power. And we're going to have problems with power for a while. But if we can put out this fire, I think that that's a decent start for us here. Let me take a look for a second. Food's good. We have insufficient oxygen generation. In fact, grossly insignificant oxygen generation. How's our algae? 3,800 kilos. The thing is, I'm going to need to keep an eye on this, because we're going to be getting into slime as we come down here as well. But at least we tackled this to start with. Circuit overloaded. So there was another comment. I hope I still have the video up here. There's a primer I wanted to read. A circuit is a collection of wires that are connected together. If there's a wire path to it, it is on the circuit. I understand this. Thank you, anime. The exception is power transformers. Power transformers act as a break, creating 2 separate circuits, one on each side. If the supply into the circuit cannot fulfill the demand, you're out of power. You understand this. Correct. If the demand on a circuit, the sum of all demand of all active machines on the circuit exceeds the capacity, you get circuit overloads. The standard wire has a 1 kilowatt capacity, so if the draw on the circuit exceeds 1 kilowatt, standard wires will begin to break down. Very usefully, the power transformer limits the supply that crosses it. No matter how much supply goes into its top port, it will only allow 1 kilowatt out of its bottom port. Essentially, you want your generators to feed onto a heavy watt grid of 20 kilowatt capacity, which then feeds power to various transformers, limiting the power down to 1 kilowatt, which feed standard wire circuits to power things. Okay. I almost want to get out like a notepad or something here. So from our generators, we would be making transformers. Right here. Powers protects circuits from overloading by increasing or decreasing power flow. Let me read this comment one more time, because I think this is very useful. It got upvoted. Also, #1 comment. That's seriously how power works? What the F, Clay Entertainment? NL is guiltless on this one because that makes no sense. Electrons do not go out and explore the neighborhood first before deciding whether to overheat the one wire they're traveling down. This 100% should be using a pathfinding algorithm to determine load, which already has to be used anyway just to decide the buildings that have power. Nobody would ever guess this nonsense without reading it in a wiki or spending like 3 hours experimenting on purpose. Thank you, Gavin Jenkins, even though the #1 comment below that just says you should learn how power works in the real world, which might also be true. You've taken my side, and even if your reasoning is flawed, I'm a little too simple-minded when it comes to electrical engineering to understand that. So I'll just take your feedback. Anyway, you want your generators to feed onto a heavy watt grid, which then feeds to various power transformers, which feeds standard wire circuits. So, I mean, I know this is going to sound like I'm ignoring what's being said. That's very much not the case. The power that we generate, we want to send to a grid. All I'm going to ask is a grid of what? Is it a grid of transformers? Or is it a grid, we're feeding it to a grid of batteries? And then, you know, 20 batteries, I might make 20 kilowatts? I don't know. How much power is produced by a battery over time? So then we might want to, you know, ask the question of the comments below. Feed those in 20 kilowatt units into transformers that only allow output in 1 kilowatt units, thus avoiding the overloading of these circuits. Which, can we see if we look at our power grid, which is here, how much is going through? Yeah, routinely over 1 kilowatt is going through this. I mean, this is a heavy watt wire, but I mean, even still, more than 1 kilowatt is going through most of these. Do you want like a heavy watt wire that carries power to a transformer, and then the transformer limits that power and essentially doles it out to a certain section of the map? I think that might be the proper approach, but to be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure. I'm also going to go ahead and say, hey, please, my God, what are you doing? Oh, my Lord. Stop this. Genuine priority 9s. Tile this bad boy up. And stop going inside of the water. What are you doing? Get out of the soggy water. That actually, for some reason, made my skin crawl. Alright, we also want to avoid soggy feet. So certainly, like, we want a mopping order. And one thing that's been commonly requested, and I think it's fair to say that we've let linger for way too long, is we still do not have a bottle emptier anywhere. My mouse wheel is kind of acting up. Empties bottled liquids back into the world. We still haven't built our water sieve either, I'll give you that. All the bottles, I believe, are of, like, polluted water. So I feel like we kind of want the bottle emptier here, but it's a very easy build as well. I should have built that a long time ago. Alright, so we got stress of 20%. What are you stressed out about? Okay, holding your breath. That seems like a valid thing to be concerned about. Soggy feet. This, I'm doing some stuff, I'm essentially reworking some stuff that I think was a little stupid. Deconstruct the pitcher pump. And instead of building it here, be a smart guy. Don't be a dumb guy. Build your pitcher pump up here so that your duplicants don't have to get wet feet and a stress bonus, or in this case a stress debuff, when they're getting the precious water that we need in order to run like our entire industry here. Can we also, actually, now that I think about it, this is, I was going to ask a question that I think has an obvious answer. I was going to say, can we not just pump water from here into, like, a reservoir that's easier to get to? And the answer, I'm assuming, is, like, a definitive yes. Polluted water. Yeah, okay. Is, I assume, a definitive yes, but I can't, to be honest with you, be sure. I see a lot of stress, and I see some compromised immune systems. I'm assuming it's because we're working with the slime here. So once we get through this a little bit more and get this slime And in fact, we'll do it right off the bat. These are priority 9s for now, at least. Please just dig up the slime that is already tackled there and sweep it and put it away so it's not emitting polluted oxygen into our system. Algae, these are all fine. Nick, I gotta know, buddy. Light... Oh, that's Mathis. What's the problem? He's not in a great spot, stress-wise. I think he's coming down, though. It looks like he's coming down, as far as stress goes. Probably, I mean, he got a debuff for a long time for holding his breath, I'm assuming. Rest assured, I'm now aware of the power problem, and that's half the battle. We should really, we should priority 9 anything with slime, and priority 5 all the other sweeping jobs. Let's do that. Let's get in the habit of being a smarter human being here. Is it not? I mean, these ones are already issued, so you know what? I'll let these ones go. But, by the way, do we have... We should put, like, maybe a priority 8, shall we say, storage compactor. Like, right here, so you're not always running around. The other thing we do is just airlock this area, and we might want to do that eventually. I mean, there's quite a lot of slime down here. There's also some gold amalgam. I should note as well, this is, the new update has come out, and the new update actually allows for plastic tubes. Yeah, they're plastic tiles, and then tubes. I don't know where those would be. Furniture, or... Probably furniture, now that I think about it. Where does the fireman pole show up? You can also make an ice sculpture. It does require ice. Not stations. Probably not utilities. I thought... Where's the fireman pole? Fire pole. Plastic ladder. There you go. This is not... Maybe we have to update our save to get onto it? I might be mistaken. Creature trap, aerial creature lure, creature relocator. Stuff I've never seen before, but that doesn't mean it's new. Polymer press. I don't think it's an automation. No breathing. Don't give a fudge if I cut my arm bleeding. We actually have the materials to start building automated stuff. But again, we're kind of making sure we put out the original fires of what I've been accidentally making a mistake on. People were also saying, you know, there's bottles of urine around. Turns out that is indeed true. Let's get that urine out of here. I would say that's sensible. I agree with the priority 9s. I agree with the priority 8 right there to build that. And then get these bottles emptied. Because they are emitting polluted oxygen, actually. And since we have insufficient oxygen generation right now, although it's now much closer, we are consuming, you know, probably like 1,000 pounds of algae a day or something like that. Please also deconstruct this manual generator. I still don't know if this is what's causing power-related problems, but I'll admit, power's a problem. Right now, what I'm thinking is, I know that the drain on our base is gonna be more than one, like, the power that we require is gonna be more than 1 kilowatt, for everything in the base. For every unit of tile, if that makes sense. Although here, I'm looking at these, they're using way less now. Like, way, way less. No, they're still spiking occasionally, but it seems like we might be in a much, much better place. Are you hearing the ka-tunk? That's the power coming back on, I think. Alright, well, one way or the other, I think we've made some relatively positive changes thus far. Oh, this thing's germy, dude. Probably because is it holding slime? Is that the problem? It's holding slime and thus emitting germs. And it's spilling those germs out. All of our units have slime lung as well. So it's probably a good idea to start building some metabeds. Or a pharma chamber. It's built out of copper. Requires assignment. Gives a decor bonus. Cannot heal physical injuries. What about a metabed? It's much cheaper to build. Gives you a slight disease recovery bonus. This seems more sensible to me for the time being. Let's just toss 2 of these bad boys up here for now. I don't think those are priority 9s necessarily, although I'm going to assume that slime lung is going to erode immune systems, cause stress, etc., etc. What are we going to do about this? I think we should do 2 things. They'll disinfect it naturally. I don't know if it's enough, but I'm going to say that it's enough for now. And I'm also going to put a polluted oxygen deodorizer up there. I do need you to deliver some coal right now. How much coal do we have left? 1,000 kilograms. That seems horrible. Yeah, that seems like god-awful. But I don't see any circuit overload for the time being. I'm not saying it's good. Just that it could be worse, perhaps. Let's leave it at that. Certainly, I didn't realize how close we were to potential despair. You know what we should do, actually? This stores all, or maybe perhaps stores only slime, but then I want to move it slightly. Just have it store all for now. I think you're okay. It's probably going to store slime, but that's something we can handle at like a priority, at a priority 6 or something. All right, have we built the bottle emptier. If you would do me a service and like sweep these bottles, yeah, but like this is an actual 9. I think it's probably working. Because these bottles of urine have just been sitting here forever. That's pretty gross. They're just emitting gross smells. Let's get that handled. That seems pretty conceivable to get under control. You don't really need to sweep up this stuff at a high priority. I think that's okay. Just make sure you got this tiled up. As much as I hate to do this, this storage compactor really should be like slightly... like it should be deconstructed. I just want you to move it is the thing. Here. Storage compactor, priority 9, right here. Tiles. Like so. And then a priority 9 deconstruct, probably followed by like 8 hours of priority 9 sweeping. And I think, if I'm being real with you, our next step... Please build this. Our next step is really, getting a bunch of coal. Like a buttload of coal that allows us to try to get to sustainability. I'm not saying, by the way, that coal is sustainable. Rather, what I'm trying to suggest is, if we get enough coal to power our research to maybe the point where we can be generating power in a way that ends up being a little bit more sustainable, that would be nice. The sweeping is going to take a while here, and I accept that. Stress is better today. Immune systems seem better today. The metabeds have not been constructed yet, and I think that's fine. The mopping is taking forever here, which is, again, we might not want to necessarily prioritize that, but so be it. 700 kilos of coal. We're still not generating extra... I mean, like, what I'm trying to say is we're running out of power a lot. We do have units in the massage bed, which you might think I'd take as lollygagging, but I'm actually, like, pretty pleased with, all things considered. Circuit overloaded again. Which one? I'm trying to diagnose it. Max wattage is still 1,000 out. This, oh, sorry, the heavy watt wire, its max wattage is 20 kilowatts. That's the grid. Okay, I understand now. Okay, I think I'm starting to piece it together ambiently. the generators push out power. We push those. We should push that power out. Maybe into the batteries. Like, what's 820 watts coming through? So that seems fine. But out of these batteries, like out of this wire, and these wires here, we want to push a heavy wire into a transformer, probably many transformers. And then we want like one transformer that powers this side of the base. And we want one transformer that powers this third of the base. And one transformer that powers this third of the base or something. Okay, I think I'm starting to piece it together maybe a little bit. Perhaps. So if we put a transformer here, power comes in, power goes out. It's only pushing out 1,000 watts, 1 kilowatt. So if we built, in theory, if we built one here, and like one here, and we had one pump to the lower end of the base. In fact, we probably want to put it like even here. We're not going to be able to put the water sieve there. Pump these wires out into like the lower part of the base. This is very bad for decor. In what radius? -10, radius 2 tiles. It's going to nuke that bedroom pretty badly. But I think I'm almost okay with that. And then have this power like the top half of the base. Sever the tie to the bottom half of the base and have that come from a different transformer. I'm going to try it. And in fact, maybe this one should power the bottom half. And then we can put one here that powers the top half. And I actually, now that I look at it, I don't think you're going to be able to build there. But certainly here. Give it a 9. This is of the utmost importance. Because our power is kind of... It has knock-on effects. Like, every problem in this base is one way or the other related to power. So... I have to look at how we're actually going to do this, but I think it'll work. There's probably other ways. I'll level with you on that. This ladder exists to build up there. But our power was fine, and then it's become a serious problem. So this remains a problem that we're not doing, I would say, a great job of handling. Still got slime lung. It's becoming pretty non-breathable. Most of our base is still pretty good, but some of the base is not doing a great job of keeping the lights on here. Invalid building look. It has to. I thought this was a wall-mounted device, if I'm being honest. Maybe you'll need one tile, but either way, we'll see in a second here. We're like working all day just to keep the lights on. Still an invalid building location. All right, I mean, you can't tile through a piece of decor is kind of the unfortunate part. So cancel this build, and then this is a deconstruct. I think they can mantle well enough to get there. So actually cancel the deconstruct and just rebuild the transformer right here. I'm not naive enough to think that we're necessarily going to solve this problem in this episode, but I'm hoping. For right now, nothing's going to change. All we're going to do is have these wires at a priority 9 feed the system. Like, essentially, I think we want to go like that. But then we want to sever the tie that connects, like, even here. Then no power from here can get to the rest of the base without having to pass through the generator. Now, obviously, this could be bad. Like, we're dealing with the power to the rest of our entire base, and immediately you can see that they've deconstructed the wire a lot faster than they've constructed the wires that I was asking for, which is fine. We should have issued that order last, and we'll hopefully do a decent job of learning our lesson. The power that's being generated is still being stored. I know you can get to this one. Don't go to bed yet. You're so close to greatness. Power available 0 joules. Did I not? I might not have hooked it up. Well, I mean, in my head, I'm looking at this and I'm going, how are you not getting power? You're drawing from the batteries that have 8 kilojoules each. Aren't you? Aren't these electrons flowing from most resistance to least resistance? Or am I losing it? Like, if you hook it up here, it's just going to bypass the transformer. Alright, so I need to look up a tutorial on that, and that's fine. It's gonna be a powerless night. I feel like I might be missing something as simple. I mean, it's gonna be bad for oxygen, by the way, but I feel like it might be something as simple as just missing a connection somewhere. Like, the way I thought that this would work, these batteries would charge, but they would also feed the power into the transformer. Do I need to, like... I've got the input and the output mixed up, I think. Yeah. But that... Wait a minute, should that matter? It probably should. So this should go like this. Okay, you hold up. You're getting a little too precious with this. The input is the big thing with the arrow that then flows to the output. It makes perfect sense. I'm feeding power from the system into the batteries. That's stupid. We could rotate this whole thing, but I don't think that that's advisable. What we want is power to come out like this, so deconstruct these two. And the power that, I mean, deconstruct this. Sure. Yeah. And the power that comes in is going to come from these. Should be a... You can build. You can build. You can build. You can build. Nah, the science guy. And, like, this is... Because this is so pivotal... These are big priority 9s. Because we've got to make sure the first transformer works before we make the second one happen. Which, again, should rotate. Big power, little power. It makes perfect sense. I had the input and output confused. Moreover, I didn't really have the input and output confused. I thought that they were one and the same. More or less. Because I'm ignorant of the way electricity works in real life, but also in this game, and the unique specificity that it might have. Again, the power has been stored. Which I think is what makes this not a catastrophic thing. It's not like the power that we've generated has just been wasted. Well, it's amazing how much power we generate if we don't allow our base to ever consume any. That's... if you gotta ask, yeah, it's a priority 9 for now. Hey, buddy. I'm gonna need you to 9 that up. Thank you. Like like the thing is, yeah, nothing is gonna work until you smack that wire a little bit. There you go. There you go. It's running. We appear to still have a pretty big problem. Nothing's getting any power. Power available, 1,000 joules. Do you have to manually set, no generators on this circuit. Consumers. All of it is being used by 3 ceiling lights? Because it's not connected here. Yeah, okay, wait, no, this is actually still okay. This is by the way, don't get any big ideas. This is pretty good troubleshooting. This could have been the kind of thing, like 2 years ago, I would have done, and I'm not defending that necessarily, but 2 years ago, would have done this, not even noticed anything was wrong, for probably a week. We're making more and more minor mistakes, and that's a dream come true. Now, you're powering the whole base now. Let's take a look. Maybe we only need the one transformer for the time being. Power stored, 375 kilojoules. Power produced, okay, power consumed, 5.818 kilowatts. I don't know, dude. For the time being, it kind of seems like it's working. Tentatively, can we start enabling these batteries? Now, in the future, oh, and immediately, circuit overload. What we want to do in the next episode, this one's gone a little over long at this point probably, but what we want to do on the next episode, a couple of things. We're almost out of coal. It's real bad. Turns out we're going to need more of that. So probably we'll do our best to identify a coal main. There's some that's not too far away, but we've used a lot of it, and we continue to use a bunch. I mean, there's some immediately available coal over here. You know, there's a few hundred kilos. A couple thousand probably right there. We'll find a spot that seems the most efficient. But beyond that, we want to separate our grid. So I think we've added in essentially what amounts to a harness to... This is fine, yeah. We've added in what I think amounts to a harness, and by that I mean we have the mechanisms for the future that will allow us to segment our grid into two specific portions, so that when we run out of power, the first thing is that we avoid circuit overload damage, and the second thing is when we run out of power, it should only affect one half of the base at a time. So we'll probably end up trying to maybe split the base in half, like right here. Cut this wire, hook this transformer up exclusively down here, and see how that works. But for now, thanks for watching, and thanks for your tips. We're starting to work our way out of this, I think. If you enjoyed the episode, click the like button. It really does help out a great deal. And, of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.